do I need to send to you, Ben? I'm adding Ben to my list. Now I have a list.
Please
I
do.
have my apron. I need to get a picture of me in my apron.
Kimberly needs a mug. Okay. Are you sure you wouldn't rather have champagne glasses?
No, I need.
You'd rather have a water bottle or a notebook that you can put your phone in. Carol, Leah?
Me?
Yeah.
Ooh, notebook I can put my phone in.
I'd rather have a water bottle.
I have 1,000,000 water bottles.
Oh, look, everybody's
Oh,
coming
Leah, I'll
on.
send you the notebook.
I need to click to see who's here. Lots of people are here.
Yeah.
Attendees. Ooh, my friend Kathy Northern's here. And Kimberly Garwood. I can't even speak. Sorry. Hi, Kimberly. I know lots of these people. Michael Rosenberg, Scott Eves. This is going to be fun.
Can you hear the thunder in the background?
No.
No. If we're lucky, Champ can't hear it upstairs because, you know, he won't go outside for the rest of the day if he hears your thunder.
let's not let him hear it. It's an everyday occurrence here now. So apparently Florida has been renamed. So
the thunder capital of the world.
The thunder capital of the world, yes. So we already were the lightning capital of the world. So I guess that kind of goes with it, right? So
yes, lightning.
COVID capital of the
Oh,
yeah,
that
too.
Yeah,
Don't
no,
do
we've dropped off. I think Georgia's higher than us right now.
Oh, good. It's because of UGA.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go dogs.
Too
My
much,
niece got it. She's a junior there.
Oh no.
too much partying in the colleges.
Those kids are having fun.
Yeah, seriously, Deb, do we really think that that college kids were not going to have fun?
Well, I was hoping.
You're such an optimist.
I mean, I thought maybe they could control themselves and not spread it around, but what do I know?
So should we give people just a couple more seconds here? It is 2 o'clock.
It is 2 o'clock. They're all gonna be fashionably late on a Friday.
It's Friday. Yep. They're all planning their weekends at UGA.
Surprised they haven't sent them all home yet.
They're not going to. They can't play football if the kids aren't on campus. The SEC is determined to have a football season, so the kids shall stay.
So they've already shut down a couple of our high school games this week that have been canceled. So too many kids. All right. Well, it is 2:01. So I think we should probably go ahead and get started.
Well, let's get started.
Let's get started. Hi, everyone. Welcome to 2020 Vision. It's a game changer. And today we are going to be revealing, I need a drum roll, the online homebuyer mystery shop results. So you have definitely chosen a good one to join. If this is your first time joining, thank you. We do these once a month. So we'd like to encourage you to come back next month. And we'll have a little preview of that here in just a little bit. So joining us today, as always, is Carol Morgan, founder and president of Denim Marketing. Carol, you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Founder, president of Denim Marketing. 1999 is when I started Denim. We do all sorts of cool things for builders and others in the industry, but the majority of what we do is content. So social media, blogging, website content, lots of press releases. If you're looking for traditional media relations, we still do that. So yeah, we've done some really neat projects this year. So I'm looking forward to putting a couple of those on our blog once we finish them. We're working on a series of infographics right now for a client. Kind of cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So, and I am Kimberly Mackey. I'm the founder of New Home Solutions Consulting. I work with builders and developers of all sizes all over the country. I also work with large brokerages. In Tampa, I actually run the preferred builder program for Berkshire Hathaway. And typically I'm the person that comes in when sales, to put the sales systems and processes in place. I like to say that I'm the person that they bring in to keep sales as the engine that drives the train instead of running it off the track. So I do coaching for leadership and sales and marketing leadership, do strategy for sales and marketing leadership, and of course, coaching and training for our on-site sales professionals. So that is my world. And moving on, we have some special guests today too. So we have none other than Mr. Ben Marks of Melinda, Brody and Company. Ben purchased Melinda, Brody and Company when Melinda retired after in 2016. And he joined Melinda, Brody and Company after 20 years of sales and marketing expertise. Melinda, Brody and Company, if you are not familiar with them, then you must have been hiding under a rock, because they are the leading mystery shopping company for our industry in the US. Say hi, Ben.
Hello.
So welcome and thank you for joining us today. So, and for our next guest, she really needs no introduction, so, but we'll give her one anyway because we just love her. So this is Leah Fellows from Blue Gypsy Inc. And Leah really is a gypsy. She traveled the world. She's been everywhere. She bought the t-shirt for that. She was even a dive instructor and a sailboat captain before our industry won out as the industry that captured her heart. And she founded Blue Gypsy in 2010. She is a leading consultant and trainer for everything online sales. So she is your go-to expert for online sales. Leah, say hi.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for having me.
So thank you for joining us again. So we would be remiss if we did not acknowledge what today is and the anniversary. This is the 19th anniversary of 9/11. And that is, of course, a day when hate and terror tried to break the American spirit. On that day, 2,977 people died, 19 hijackers committed murder and suicide, and more than 6,000 others were injured. And many more have perished since, as our first responders lose their battle with cancer and other vicious diseases brought on by their selflessness to save lives that day and the days that followed. But through the ashes, we rose, united as a nation, stronger with ever more resolve. In today's climate, I think it's perhaps more important than ever to reflect on the lessons that we learned that fateful day. Perhaps this quote sums it up more idyllically than it actually was, but nonetheless, if we learn nothing else from this tragedy, we learn that life is short and that there is no time for hate. And that's a quote from Sandy Dahl, who was the wife of the Flight 93 pilot, Jason Dahl. So if we could just take a moment here. Thank you all for that. So Carol, you want to switch gears here quickly and talk about what we're here to do today?
Yes. So the big question is follow up your weakest link. The results are in. And if you're like a lot of home builders we surveyed, then follow-up might just be your weakest link. So Denim Marketing, Melinda, Brody and Company, and Blue Gypsy Inc. Did this online home buyer mystery shop earlier this year. We all partnered. It was a lot of fun. We cannot wait to share the results. So that's what we're going to do today. And I guess just from my perspective, marketing dollars go farther than ever today. But they're still precious. We all spend a lot of time each and every month to get leads and to build a customer journey. We want it to be unique and memorable. I think it's interesting that this survey was conducted during COVID. And I know Leah will have some comments on that later. But from my perspective, we were all sheltering in place and sitting behind a computer screen. So some of these results really surprised me. So without any other further ado on this, let's just jump into it.
All righty. So Ben, can you start us off and tell us how the shop worked? I mean, how did you decide which builders were going to be included and maybe how this differs a little bit from what you normally do?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the webinar. I greatly appreciate it. So for the shops, we decided on a sample size of 50 builders, and that would represent a good overall representation of the overall home building industry. So we randomly selected these builders from across the country. They represent national, regional, and local builders, both large and small. And of those 50, 30 were from the Builder Top 200 list. For the mystery shops themselves, we had our shoppers go to each builder's website during normal business hours and on weekdays, Monday to Fridays. These shoppers would go and fill in the contact forms on each site and include a relevant question about a specific community. And then over a 30-day period, we tracked the responses from phone, email, and text messages. It's also important to note that during this 30-day period, the shoppers didn't reply to builder emails, phone calls, or text messages.
So, you know, and this is really important too. I'd like to just throw in on this process that that's what builders, what OSCs are trained to do. OSCs are trained to truly go through that process and follow up even if they don't get a response. So I just want to kind of throw that in there. Online sales counselors do this by just sheer, this is their process.
All right, then we will move on. And Carol, you've got a big aha coming up here?
Yeah, so our first big aha is that 0% of home builders emailed back in 5 minutes or less, which is shocking to me. You know, Leah, what do you think some of the factors that affected this or influenced this are? And then, you know, how can we speed this up and what is best practice?
So, you know, it's really kind of, we always say the gold standard of follow-up is 5 minutes or less. Back when I started in the industry, if we followed up in 4 hours or less, we were doing well. We'd say, you could wait 24 hours on the weekend. So 5 minutes or less is really important. Most people know this, and a study by Convolo Sales showed that conversions increased 391% when a lead is answered in the first minute they inquire. So 5 minutes or less, I mean, we're looking at attention span. That's what we're going for. And I'm with Carol. It was shocking that no builders sent an email in 5 minutes or less. We could say some of that could be COVID related. I know on the online sales counselor side of things, they've been flooded with emails. But still, as we look at the data throughout the report, online sales counselors were faster, more frequent, and more diverse with their touch points overall anyway. And when we talk about phone, at least I can say 2% of the builders responded by phone in 5 minutes or less. So yeah.
2% though.
Yeah, only 2%. And they were all OSCs. So.
Wow, that's shocking to me.
Yeah, and actually, as we move into this next slide, which I know Carol's going to talk about, in our survey, we found that 58% of the builders had online sales counselors and 42% did not. So when we looked at the data throughout this entire report, we looked at it as a whole, but we also looked at it as online sales counselors and non-online sales counselors. So Carol, let's go ahead and talk.
You know, I think that's an interesting point too. And I think that's something that COVID has changed a little bit with more and more of our buyers shopping online and expecting that immediate response. I think we have some builders who invested in online sales counselors this year who did not have them before. And I believe that will be a trend we see continue into 2021 and the future. But, you know, autoresponders, we build a lot of successful autoresponders for home builders. You know, they have a great place in follow-up. You know, when we're talking about the 5 minute response time, you know, that didn't include autoresponders. Clearly, some people got an auto response really quickly. We were talking about a personalized follow-up, somebody that literally typed back to them, answered their question, you know, a real human versus a machine. So Leah, I guess on that note, talk a little bit about what you see as the place of the autoresponder. What's best practice for an autoresponder?
So yeah, I agree that builders need to have autoresponders just to let people know that they've gotten their submissions. Because remember, all of these submissions came through the website. So that's important to have an autoresponder, but it can't take the place of personalized follow-up. And it doesn't count as responding in 5 minutes or less, because most of the time, especially if someone asks a question or whatever, that autoresponder so often is not tailored to that specific person and what they've asked. So whereas autoresponders are important, they can't be the substitute for that fast 5 minutes or less follow-up.
And we do have some questions coming in for you guys. So Sherry Phillips is asking us, were your builders all production builders, or did you survey custom builders too?
We didn't survey custom builders. They were mostly, I believe they were all production builders, correct, Ben?
There were some smaller
Builders, but they weren't necessarily custom. They weren't custom builders.
Correct. So, yeah.
There were some smaller builders. About almost 30 of the builders came from the top 200 list, Builder Top 200, and the rest were local and regional around the country that we chose. But none of them were custom builders.
So, and then 0% response, that excluded, I think you cleared that up, that it did exclude the autoresponder.
Definitely. Yeah, we didn't count the autoresponder as being part of the five minutes or less. We looked at personalized emails.
So, and then here's a really interesting question. What percentage of the high-end home builders had an OSC? Do we have any idea?
We didn't sit there and compare them by pricing or something like that. I mean, I guess everybody has their own version of what's high end, you know, because I mean, I think that is a high-end builder what is that? I mean, somebody building $1 million homes or somebody building $500,000 homes. I guess that's kind of a subjective question. I know builders in like Oklahoma that build beautiful, gorgeous, what I would call a high-end house. You know, they're a small builder, and I don't know how you would designate that by their price, because I know other builders here that build $1 million homes. So
that's true.
Right.
Yeah, it's very subjective depending on where you are in the country. So
we have another really good question. Less than 5 minutes seems quite extreme. How do builders staff for that expectation?
So that really is where an online sales counselor comes in. And I mean, that's the importance of having someone at the top of your lead funnel that their only job, their most important job, is that fast, personalized response. Because we live in a very fast-paced world. It's a goldfish mentality. And we know that if we don't answer them right when they inquire, they're gonna go somewhere else and you lose that opportunity. So the longer that lead languishes, the more likely you're not gonna get a response when you reach out to them. And then it's gonna be harder to get that response.
Yeah. Well, while we're on that topic, maybe give some parameters. At what point does a builder know that they need an online sales counselor? How many leads are they getting, or how many sales are they making? You know, when does that make sense for them?
So for me, as far as when you should have an online sales counselor, I think it does depend on lead generation and how many homes you're building. It depends on, now I would say a builder that's aspiring to build 50 homes or more a year should definitely be having an OSC. So it's not just for those 700 homes a year or 200 homes a year. It's definitely, I've trained builders that sell 50 or more homes a year. And as far as leads go, you want to be generating, you know, depending on your size, 20, 30, 40 leads per week. You know, and that lead generation helps you sell your homes. And there's a whole metric that goes into that. And that's a whole nother conversation that would take forever to go into in this. But I would say that once you hit 50 leads a week, you need 2 online sales counselors. Okay. So the volume is important. And the way an online sales counselor tends to a lead when it comes in, and that ongoing follow-up, which we're going to talk about further on in this presentation, is really different than the way your site agents do. So staffing with site agents and agents that are used to selling in model homes, there's a different mentality than those who are trained and properly set up to be an online sales counselor.
On that note, no, there definitely is. Coming from the on-site side, we suffer from bright shiny object syndrome. I mean, I used the wrong hand. So anything bright and shiny for an on-site, you know, we're that warm lead, that hot lead right in front of us at the moment, the traffic that's coming in, the realtor who's right in front of us. You know, it is a completely different set of skills to be able to convert and work from that and nurture that lead to the point that you get them to the appointment. But once an on-site has an appointment set with a lead, just another statistic for you, they're 50% more likely to convert that to a sale versus someone who just walks in with walk-in traffic. So that's really important, that you can not only increase the quality, the quantity of your appointments, but you can increase the quality of those appointments for higher conversion. So one of the things Carol mentioned, that she does a lot of the autoresponders and writes a lot of those for builders. One of the things that I do with a lot of my builders is help them to manage their CRM with their on-site teams. And we create, in addition, some autoresponders that are structured to be more of those personalized emails that come directly from the desk of the salesperson. And they sound very, very personal. And in fact, I encourage the salespeople to take those as templates and tweak them so that the buyer does know that after they've had that conversation with them, that's, you know, that it is really from their desk and from them. But it gives them a template, and it gives them that follow-up scale of how often they should be following up, how many touch points they should have with that buyer, and most importantly, a call to action. Because every email has to have a call to action. And that call to action is, of course, schedule an appointment for a purpose, not just come tour our community. That's way too general. It needs to be a very specific call to action when you're talking about these personalized emails. So Leah, I know you've got a lot more to talk about on this one.
Well, and you know, this is the thing is with personalized versus marketing, and also autoresponder versus automation. Okay, because you said there's difference between setting up automation where it sounds like it's customized to that person, and that's okay. You want it to sound personalized and to have it, especially when you have huge volume, go out automatically, but it's still personalized. So it's different than a marketing email where it's big, pretty, shiny, colorful templated emails with homes and quick, get our last home before we sell out this community, that sort of thing. So I think it's important to understand the difference between those personalized emails that sound more like Kimberly said, coming from your desk, versus those pretty colorful templated emails. And I know that Carol has something to say about that in a bit. But one of the things I want to point out is that of our builders, only 48% of builders 48% of builders never sent more than one personalized email. And remember, that's in a 30-day period. So in 30 days, they only sent one personalized email. Anything else they sent, if they sent anything at all, might have been marketing, if they did anything at all. So, you know, as an online sales trainer, it made me sad that 24% of OSCs sent only one email. That means they were not following their process. And every online sales counselor that's out there should be trained to follow a process. That's why we hire them in the first place and put them in that important position. But you know, 81% of builders without OSCs sent only one email. So that I'm not surprised about, because if you don't have someone great like Kimberly helping your site agents set up that automation and that follow-up, it doesn't happen. So, you know, OSCs should be doing it, but site agents, you know, if these were going directly to site, it's not surprising to me that only 81% didn't respond beyond one email.
And then how many, I think you said something earlier about how many had OSCs and how many didn't?
So 58% had OSCs and 42% didn't.
Okay, great. And then we have a question from Lynn Davis, who's asking us, hi Lynn, which is more effective, an emailed initial follow-up or a phone call initial follow-up, or even a text, she says?
So I would say a phone call is really, if you're given a phone number, that should be your first line of follow-up, is making a phone call. And that's why we did have 2% of builders follow up in 5 minutes or less with a phone, right? And 0, 5 minutes or less. And I want to be clear that there were some builders that had emails in like within 10 minutes, but when we were sticking to our 5 minute or less, and that's why you can see in the next metric, or I think it's the next one, or further down, that that we do have that 30-minute or less time frame. You can see all builders responded in 26%. 26% of them responded in 30 minutes or less. 45% had OSCs, but 0% didn't. So you can see that in that half-hour window, more people responded.
So, and Ben, talk to us a little bit about how your shoppers presented themselves. How did they initiate their contact with these builders?
Right. So, I mean, our shoppers were definitely ready, willing, and able. On the contact forms, they provided all the information requested, whether it was email, phone, as well as adding a specific question about a community. So really expressing interest. So to make it clear to whoever was reading that form that, you know, here's someone that's interested.
Mhm.
And they came from the builder's website and the contact us form on the builder's website. These were not submitted through a third party or anything. So these should be the most organic leads you get. This is what we're trying to do with all our advertising, driving everybody to our website to fill out that form, right?
Correct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is again, that whole idea that so few sent 20% didn't send any personalized emails at all. So 20% of the builders didn't send any personalized emails. And then we drop off drastically, you know, after one, and only 44% of the builders sent 3 or more personalized emails in that 30 days. Okay. So it's really important for us to remember that we often hear the phrase or the statistics quoted that it takes 8 to 12 touch points to convert a lead. So you need to have multiple touch points throughout this follow-up to and you can't just drop off and not send emails. Like you can see here, 8% of builders took more than 24 hours to respond. I think the longest was something like almost 7 days. Was it 7 or 8 days?
I think that's right.
So
Wow.
It's a long time. And
for the first email.
4 hours seems like a long time too, especially since these were set Monday through Friday, you know, 8 to 5.
Yeah.
In
Definitely.
their time zone.
So, you know, it would be really interesting. We can always compare ourselves to other builders and how other builders are doing, but we should also consider how are we comparing to other industries? And imagine making an inquiry for a computer or a car,
Yeah.
or anything else, and having it take that long for somebody to respond. How frustrated would you be? So, you know, that's what the consumer expects. You have to put yourself in the consumer's shoes to understand that if we're taking this long, then they're frustrated and they're like, well, if they can't bother, if I'm not important enough for them to respond to me, why am I going to do business with them?
Yeah. And I mean, again, to Lynn's question, they give you a phone number, you call them. They give you an email, you email them. You know, I've heard it said recently, but email is dead. But email's not dead, especially if someone's willingly giving you their email. You need to be able to respond to that and respond frequently until you get them, you know?
Yet you're not bothering people if they reached out to you. They've reached out to you for help. So how about though on the opposite, Carol?
Well, you might be bothering them. I guess our second big aha is there can be too much of a good thing. We actually had 2 home builders send 17 marketing emails, and one of them sent 5 and the other one sent 6 personalized emails in a 30-day period. So that's 22 to 23 emails in 30 days. I mean, honestly, I would find that overwhelming. But somebody must be coaching them to do that because we've got 2 builders doing it.
Well,
but,
it's not me.
It's not
me.
Leah. I would say
it's not me either. It's definitely not me.
Be persistent, but don't be a nuisance. I mean, I know my theory is always, you know, email and call and follow up until they tell you to go away or opt out or buy from someone else or buy from you. I mean, I have literally, and you know, and obviously I'm not trying to sell a house, but I'm selling marketing services. There's people that I will follow up with for 2 and 3 years who will ultimately buy from us. And you know, the follow-up, especially if you can follow up that's something of value, you know, oh, hey, did you see our latest survey? Oh, do you know that the Southeast is performing really well? Here are the latest stats, you know, just stuff that makes you their go-to. And we can do the same thing with our potential buyers. Give them information that keeps them excited about the process, whether it's, oh, hey, it looks like interest rates may drop again, or, you know, we're down to the final 3 houses in that neighborhood that I know you really liked. There are definitely ways you can follow up without just saying, oh, just following up.
Well,
And
you can be very educational in your follow-up with,
Absolutely.
you know, how does the mortgage process work?
well,
You know,
partitioning
what
your
are the
database.
steps? Yeah.
Partitioning your database is so important, and making sure that and Ben was the one driving the actual shops because his team has the skills, the ability, and the systems in place to do this. So he was looking over those emails. I didn't really get in and look at those emails. I don't know how many of those 17 marketing emails were like for 17 different communities. And if that inquiry came through one community, which they mostly did, right? And you're hitting someone with 16 other emails that aren't important, you've got to partition your database properly. So,
Right.
So yeah, there's that. But you know, the funny thing about those 17 emails and those personalized emails as well, there was not a single phone call, which kind of brings us to the diversity.
Right.
Of
And you're talking about those 2 specific
those
builders
two.
who sent
Those
all
two
that. Yeah,
specific
they didn't
builders. They
pick
never
up the
made-
phone.
Didn't pick up the phone, even though they had a phone number. So yeah, so diversity of touch points is so important. And that comes back to that whole, you know, recently I heard someone say that that email is dead, and it really is not. It's just how you're utilizing it. You need to really use email, phone calls, video emails, and text messages to diversify your touch points. So we're not saying that if you have 8 to 12 touch points in 30 days, they should all be emails. They should be different things. And one of the things that we saw is that only 10% of builders sent video emails. So only 10% utilized that amazing function of video email. All of those were OSCs. They were all online sales counselors that sent those video emails, and they all only sent one in a 30-day period. Yet a recent study by Synovio Labs says that an initial email video increases click-through rates by 96%. That in their survey, 54% of email subscribers say they prefer a video email. And when the word video is in the subject line, there's a 19% increase in open rate. The click rates go up 65%, and your unsubscribe goes down 26%. So all of those should tell us we should be utilizing video email in our sales process to first get someone to communicate with us, and then even after the fact, right?
Yeah, dive into that a little bit more. So when you say video email, is that me just sending a video of the community, or is that a video of me talking to the buyer and maybe walking around and showing them stuff? Is it more first person or is it more third person? What are they expecting?
So that is a great point. And I will tell you the best way to start in your follow-up, when you first get a new hot lead in through your website, send them a personalized video email of you talking to them. Like, if you hold up a board with their name on it and your email subject line says, Leah, I have a video introduction for you, and you open that up and then you see your name, Leah, on that board, how can you not click that to see what that person has to say to you, right? So that's a personalized video email that is so very important. And it's funny because one of my newest trainees, we were talking about that, and she said, one of the hardest things in her follow-up process is gearing herself up to do that video email. And we talked about eating that big green hairy frog and having to do that first. Take the thing that you hate doing most in your day, which might be video email, and just sit down and get yourself set up and go board after board after board. Because you know what? That first video email you send out is probably because that person hasn't responded to you yet. It should be like a day 2, day 3 type task. And you're doing it because you haven't gotten a response from that person. So if you're doing a video email, you can pretty much use the same script for everybody, but a different board with their name on it, and just record it over and over and over. Guess what? We had that conversation yesterday. Today, she sent me a video email saying 41 video emails done. Boom. So that's going to be pretty impressive when she sees the response from that. So you can use programs like BombBomb to connect up with everything. And BombBomb is a wonderful emailing platform. So there's other ones out there, Vidyard, all sorts of different ones, but my favorite's BombBomb.
And you can just take a video. I mean, you don't have to subscribe to a program to do it. You can just take video and, you know, save it in a program like Dropbox or on any cloud where you can attach the link to it and, you know, just take a screenshot of it and embed it right there in your video. We have some questions for you. One of them I'm not quite sure. So Chuck, you may have to expand on this one. But Chuck Janitis is asking, can you send those percentages on video email that she just talked about?
Yeah, well, they're going to be in the report, which we'll send a link to, but I'll put it in the chat. It'll just take me a minute to type it.
Okay.
Yeah,
and then he asked about a length of time for a video email.
So, and that's a good question, length of time. Your first video email, really 30, 45 seconds, a minute and a half top. Like, you don't want to ramble on, but like once you start communicating with someone and they want information for you, then you can do those video tours through the community like Carol asked. You can talk to them longer about the floor plans they want. So that's, you know, that would be, I would say that very first video email, it's not long. And you can create some canned video emails that you use throughout your process that maybe apply to a broader audience and have them less personalized. But you always, it's just like the personalized email. You've got to have that personalized email, video email too.
With a call to action.
Right. And we also, so just as diversity goes, so we're talking about video emails, but diversity also is making those phone calls. And I want to just look here when I have my, you know what, you might have to subscribe, you know, download the thing, because I'm not seeing where I wrote down my stats for the phone calls, but I can tell you 14% of builders sent text messages. Only 14% utilized text messages throughout that 30 days. And again, 100% of those were online sales counselors. So.
Ben, you had something?
Well, just in case you were wondering, I mean, we did track whether those emails, whether they were personalized or marketing, arrived in the inbox or junk folder. And I can say out of those 50 builders, maybe 5 or less total emails ended up in the junk or spam folder.
Which is good and actually surprising to me too, because I know I get a lot in my spam, but that is something to also be aware of, is when your stuff is landing in spam. If you're not getting responses from people, you need to mix it up and sometimes not just send what you have programmed through your CRM, but send from your Outlook as well, because maybe you are landing in their spam. And if you go through your Outlook, maybe you won't, depending. So.
Carol, your stats are just going out to the panelists, so if you wouldn't mind cutting and pasting that back out to everybody. And you are welcome, Chuck. I'm proud of myself for pronouncing your name correctly as well. So, all right, I'm going to move on. You know, diversity, definitely the key. You just like with closing techniques, you can't just keep saying the same things over and over again. You can't just keep doing the same things over and over again. You never know what's going to actually grab somebody's attention. So let's talk about the types of mystery shops that we typically do, and talk about the difference in this, Ben, you know, how it normally looks versus how this one looked, because I think they're both very different and distinctive.
Right. A great question. Certainly the majority of mystery shops we're performing on a daily basis are either on-site video shops, or now with COVID, we're doing a lot of recorded virtual shops where our shopper is recording their screen as they're on a Zoom call with a sales agent going through a virtual tour. But with all these with those types of shops, we're evaluating a sales agent's sales performance and skills as they're working with prospects. For example, how well they're qualifying a prospect, their builder story, and overall closing efforts. These online sales counselor shops are more focused on evaluating a process and confirming whether those touch points we discussed are being completed. For example, were those personalized emails and phone calls made in a timely manner. But this is not to say when we don't review those emails and voicemails to confirm whether they're on point and addressing the prospect's questions. And regardless of whether it's an on-site mystery shop or an online sales counselor shop, all these shop results, videos, and follow-up emails are logged into our client dashboard. So our clients have access through the dashboard to analyze these shop results and view trend reports for both individual sales agents as well as entire sales teams, which really helps the coaching and training process to know what the strengths and weaknesses are of everyone.
Mm-hmm. So and I've got to say, I'm really excited to be partnering with Melinda, Brody and Company on this, and Ben, because I have done I've done shops of OSCs for years. I've offered that service for years, and it's a 30-day process. And then what we didn't do in this mystery shop, and we add on, is usually then we call in by phone and see how well the online sales counselor actually goes through that discovery process and sets that appointment. Because an online sales counselor's job is to set an appointment for the agents in their models, or now with COVID, it could be a video or virtual appointment. But partnering with Melinda, Brody and Company has made this awesome, because we're taking the best of the best and we're doing something that's not really available anywhere else that I'm aware of, where you can actually do an online sales counselor shop and start shopping that lead from the very moment that lead is generated all the way through appointment set. And you can bundle it with their site shops and go all the way through. So you can see from OSC, you can see the handoff process, you can see the appointment show in that, if you bundle it with the on-site. So there's just so much possibility now with this and with this partnership, and to be able to analyze and look at the whole thing from lead generation and that whole marketing effort to do that all the way through. So I'm really excited about this.
You know, I know a lot of my clients had said, you know, I'm not going to do my mystery shops this year because of COVID. And my advice to them is, no, you need to do this. You need to continue to do this, because how can you put so much faith in your business if you don't know how you're doing? You have to know, and this is the only way for us to really get a true measure of how well our OSCs and our on-sites are doing and handling our customers and those very expensive leads that, you know, cost us a fortune and are the lifeline of our business. So absolutely. So great job to both of you. And, you know, I think both types are incredible. I'm glad you guys were able to, you know, figure out a way to pull this off. So for everybody.
And we plan to do this each year, repeated.
Yeah, we're going to keep doing the reports and keep offering those services, because we find that they're very valuable. Like you said, Kimberly, right now is not the time not to shop, because especially on the online sales counselor side, a lot of your online sales counselors are drowning and you're not aware of it, or you're not paying attention to the fact that they're drowning in leads and they're not doing the best that they can. And this is the time where, when you evaluate that, you're probably going to see you need to add to your online sales counselor team. I think gone are the days, with all our marketing efforts and how digital this world has become, gone are the days when one online sales counselor can work 24/7. For smaller builders. I know the national builders and the big builders, they have teams, but there's still people that sit on that precipice of whether I should have one or more, just like you still have people sitting on that fence of whether I should have one OSC or no OSC, you know. So we always have to evaluate by volume and quality.
So, and then Lynn Davis is asking us a question. She says, if you have a phone number for the prospect, initially text right away to say that you'll be calling them and this is your phone number. That's a really great point, Lynn. So they'll be more likely to answer when the site rep or the OSC does call. So many of us don't answer calls from phone numbers that aren't in our, you know, we're just used to so many spam calls. So very good point. Thank you. And that's Lynn Davis from Enter Now right there chiming in. Thanks, Lynn.
Mm-hmm.
So, Carol?
Well, and here is how you can download a copy of the mystery shop. I'll put it in the chat too, so that you can just click on it. But, you know, we'd love to have your questions about it. We'd love for you to download it. It's also downloadable on Melinda Brody and Company, as well as Blue Gypsy Inc. We'll follow up with an email that gives all of those links for anyone who is listening to this after the fact and not live with us today. That way they'll have those as well. But we'd love to know, what are your questions? What are you guys seeing out there? Do we have kind of a new normal? And it feels like we do. Everybody's back to school. COVID or no COVID, we're back to functioning. A lot of people are back in the office. What are you guys seeing out there? Sales seem to be up and really strong all over from what we're seeing.
And if you hung around till the end while you're thinking of those questions, I did find the phone statistics.
Ooh, good.
I found our phone follow-up. So 62% of builders never made a phone call.
It's a lot.
So that's a lot. 62% of builders never made a phone call. 38% of those were OSCs. 38% of OSCs never made a call, and 71% of builders without OSCs never made a call. Only 18% of builders made more than one phone call, and 89% of those were OSCs, 11% were not. But only 2% of builders made calls in 5 minutes or less, and that's that important number there.
Do you think it's because everybody's allergic to their phone today and nobody wants to pick it up? Or do you think it's because they think no one's going to answer when they call? Or what is it?
I think they think no one's going to answer when they call, but I can tell you from talking to online sales counselors across the country that have been dealing with COVID, people are jumping on their phones when they're getting those phone calls. People are calling them and jumping. They're getting more call volume into their sales offices, and they're getting more responsiveness to their phone calls. So the phone is not dead. The email is not dead. None of that stuff is dead.
Well, and the point is, these people are reaching out to us.
Right.
We shouldn't be afraid to reach out to people who have reached out to us. It's not like we're asking people to just cold call. That's a completely different scenario there. So, if somebody reaches out to you and asks for help, you owe it to them to try to help them, right? So that's what I teach my salespeople.
Agreed.
So the next webinar we're going to have is about It's a Party, and it's all about how 2020 has changed the way that we do events. So I know that people are looking at how they can do realtor events, or how they can have open houses, how they can even do a community open. I've got a builder this week doing a community week, open week. So, all of these different things that we can do to get people engaged. So, and we are hoping to have a very special guest join us who throws a lot of huge events for our industry. So fingers crossed on that one. Carol, it's going to be your birthday, so you want to talk about?
Yeah, October 9th is my birthday, so this is my birthday party, so please join. It'll be a lot of fun, actually. So we're going to talk about virtual events, in-person events, just what we see happening around the country. There's some really cool stuff going on out there. We can't wait to share.
Yeah, we all just, best practice sharing just helps all of us and helps us all to rise. Thank you, Ben and Leah, for joining us again. Really good stuff. I know that people are really going to enjoy when they get this full report and the infographic. And again, this is how you can reach out to Carol or to me. We can certainly put you in touch with Ben and Leah. If you have anything, just don't be shy. Go ahead and reach on out to us. And thank you for joining us today. Happy Friday, everybody.
Everybody have a great weekend.
Bye.
Bye.